Good morning, good morning. How are you all doing? Fantastic. I'm Barbara Bynum. I am one of the forum moderators along with Phoebe Benzinger, Kathy Heavers, and Judy Ann Files. And the four of us are honored and proud to present a program for you every Wednesday morning. And this morning is no different. I'm really excited about All Points Travel. If you heard me talk last week when I introduced it or previewed it, I think what they're doing is amazing. I took the bus to the airport recently, and it was really easy. And the routes are different, and they have really big, exciting plans. So I am not going to give away all of the information. I'm going to introduce Board President John Nelson, who many of you know. He's been in our community for a long time, working on great things. And then he is going to introduce the new Executive Director, Gary Clark. So let's give them both a warm welcome.
Good morning. You can hear me?
Yes.
Amazing. Well, want to thank you for the opportunity to tell you all about All Points Transit. A fantastic organization. Tell you how I found out about it. I have a tendency to break things. About 4.5 years ago, I broke a shoulder. I think it was a torn rotator cuff or something like that. But anyway, the good Dr. Dwyer put me back together, as he has about 4 times. But in the process of all this, I realized you cannot drive really well when one arm's in a sling. So I decided we better find some other method of getting me back and forth to the doctor. I happened to see the buses running around, didn't know anything about them, but I stopped into their office, and they got me set up with transportation with no problem at all, and I thought, that's a great organization. And they came and picked me up. I live in the suburbs of Kelowna, the western suburbs, otherwise known as the Hill or the Sticks. And so they came out even to that location, and it worked. And over the years, that's when I decided that I wanted to be on their board. We have a fantastic group of people, and I'm telling you, this is one organization that does great things for the community. It started basically as friends and neighbors helping friends and neighbors. Basically, people like me at the time. In '89, they actually incorporated. They started somewhere around '79, and incorporated. Name of the corporation is the Montrose County Transportation, Community Transportation. And I have to tell you, and then they incorporated, by the way. The next year, they became a 501c3. And that helps in terms of conveyance, in terms of raising money, that kind of thing. I haven't seen this slide, so as I'm trying to read it, I'm also trying to think about it. But the bottom line is, they offer transportation to people in need. At the time, it was primarily the elderly, but since then, it has expanded as far as you can imagine. The little operation now has, 30-some vehicles, and we have a budget of over $2 million a year. All of a sudden, this little neighbor helping neighbor is extremely important for the community. Mission: to provide safe, reliable, and accessible transportation for all, supporting continued independence and enhanced quality of life. You would not believe how long it took us to modify this thing. This has been about 2-3 years ago. Vision: to deliver, operate a transportation system that emphasizes safety, environmental sensitivity, quality, and accessibility, enhancing the economic vitality of the region. Doesn't that sound good? Well, actually, it works. Just thought I'd let you know. Boy, you've been busy, Gary.
Yeah.
Commitment to service, prioritizing community well-being over profit as a nonprofit organization, personalized attention, local connections. Employees are community members with a personal investment in their work. Interesting part of all the drivers we have, I went for 2 months. They picked me up, I think it was twice a week. Every one of those people were committed to what they were doing, and it wasn't a job. That's the important part. It was a personal commitment. And the people that we were sometimes transporting back and forth, every one of them enjoyed the process. You don't enjoy the process going to a darn doctor, I understand that. But in terms of, it was a good experience for every ride. And that's really remarkable. Okay. I think that'll about do it as far as what we do, because he's going to tell you all about that. What happened here, Terry Wilcox is on our board. She was an executive director, and she hired a lady by the name of Sarah Curtis. Sarah was executive director for about, well, it's over 12 years. And last summer, she made a rather nasty announcement. She was going to retire. And it doesn't get any worse than that. So she was very helpful. She was going to retire to work in a family business, dentistry business. Well, every time we have a change in executive directors, the history shows the organization grows, it gets more dynamic, and it really is improving every change. Well, we had to hire somebody, so we put out the word we're looking. We had 41 applications. I don't know if you've ever been involved in this sort of thing, but I'll tell you, 41 resumes, 2 pages, 20 pages, whatever, long time. Anyway, we looked at them, we narrowed it down, and after narrowing it down, we finally came back to 4 people, set those up for interviews, and ended up with Gary. He comes out of Denver, worked up in Grand Junction, ran a transportation company. I was Humboldt Oil. For some strange reason, he's fluent in Spanish, traveled around the world making maps or something like that. I don't know. All I can tell you is when he took the job, he hit the road running. He'll tell you more about that. Before I go, we have a board of directors, 8 people. Actually, we're about to add another one, I'm hoping. And we have 4 different committees. Facilities, because we just happen to be building a small transit center. $13 million is not small, but what can I say? Governance committee, finance committee, and marketing committee. We meet once a month as a board. Got really dedicated people on it, and I've wondered about enough. Gary, this is your problem now. I give you Gary's part.
Thanks, John. I'll let you hang on that one. Yeah. Well, again, thank you, John, and thank you for having us here. I'm excited to be here today. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with, or have at least seen, the All Points Transit buses and vans around town. And hopefully, I'm hoping you're coming today wondering a little bit more about what we do, and wanting to answer some of those questions. And as John said, I wanted to leave this slide up for a second because our staff, I feel just incredibly honored to work with the people at All Points Transit, because they are not there for a paycheck. They're there to help the community. And it's just incredible, and it's truly an honor to work with them. So no, I can't put enough emphasis on that. Just as John said, when we have drivers out there, they're not just, tirelessly driving to and from, doing their thing every day. They're creating relationships with people. They're helping people. One of the things that, well, actually, the thing that All Points was truly built upon was the fact that at some point in life, we all get to that point where we can't easily get around anymore, right? And we have to, in many ways, give up that lifestyle that we've always had. We no longer have the ability to just hop in our car and go where we need to go. And that's where All Points Transit stepped in and said, well, we'll help those people, right? We don't want people to lose their quality of life. That's what we're all about, is quality of life. Whether it's you lose the ability to get around because of age, injury, whatever it might be, that was the main focus and still is one of our primary focuses to this day. But what do we do? There's a lot of different things we do. Again, it started out with our demand response service. Is kind of that's our big guy. That's the one where you see the little white vans going around, or the yellow and white buses. That's our demand response service called Dial a Ride, and that's a service where you can, well, like it says, dial a ride. I'll get into a little more details about all of these as we go on here, but we also offer medical shuttle, regional shuttle, which serves a lot of the folks out in the West End area, Norwood, Natarita, Nucla. We also have deviated fixed routes, and that's the blue bus you see here. Those are the Montrose public bus. We recently started 2 new routes, the Business Express and the Residential Rider, which I'll go into as well. And then we have 2 commuter routes. That's the Mod Express and the Your Way. I did not have a say in naming that route. It's supposed to sound like Ouray with a W. Everybody gets it any way they want, so there you go. Our Dial a Ride service, again, it's a fully accessible door-to-door service for seniors and people with disabilities. The purpose of this is to, again, allow you to have that quality of life that may have been lost. And then again, we also serve Montrose and Delta counties, and San Miguel as well, a little bit of Ouray. So we're kind of all over the place with Dial a Ride, but we have a really, really wide area. Focusing, of course, primarily we're in Montrose and Delta, but there is quite a bit. We actually have, we generally have 3 drivers and 3 vehicles running in the West End as well. So should you know anyone out there that needs help, we are there to help. So, and then again, there's variations in cost. A local trip is just $5 each way. For most people, they're going to use vouchers, such as with Region 10 or Medicaid, Medicare. Those are vouchers they can use to actually pay for their routes as well. And then, of course, our destinations, we have medical appointments, grocery stores, senior centers, everything you see here. We have weekly grocery runs, things like that for, again, folks who need to get around, or meal runs as well when there are a lot of meals and things at the senior centers that people need to get to. So this is, the thing I love about Dial a Ride is this is, in so many ways, a lifeline for people to continue connecting to the world when they otherwise can't. And this right here is, in my opinion, this is the heart of All Points Transit. This is what we're about. We're about helping people. And so Dial a Ride is really, it's a really special part of our business. Yes, we are expanding in a lot of other areas, but it is really, this is the core of what we do. And again, for getting started, pretty simple, just give us a call. And you can go to our website, get a little information there, but just give us a call and have people call us and we schedule a ride. And generally for a Dial a Ride, it takes about, right now, we are so booked, this is one of the challenges with which we're faced. We are booked out about 2 weeks right now. So generally it's best for medical appointments, things like that you know ahead of time that you need to go to. Now, it doesn't mean you can't call and still try to get something sooner, but for the sake of being able to get a ride, that's your best bet. Again, the medical and regional shuttle, this is a big part of it. We have our various fares. Oh, and you know what, I took this from a website, I actually need to correct some of those prices. But the medical and regional shuttle are those are our, again, they're made just for medical, primarily to get people from the West End, typically Telluride. We also do it once a week, Telluride right now. That'll get people from there to Montrose or all the way to Grand Junction if need be. So People who don't have access to good health care in their small community can now have that access because they can get there. They don't have to rely on their neighbor who might have a car, who might not have a job at the time that they have their appointment that they need to get to, right? So there are a lot of challenges that come with that. So this is a huge service that we offer. And again, this one is typically covered by your Medicare, Medicaid, and those things. So those are big ones. Those are a huge part of it. And again, if you have more questions on this one, I did put our link down here, Regional Medical Shuttle, allpointstransit.com/regional medical shuttle, because this is a huge value to folks who live in remote areas, which, as you know, in these counties, we have quite a few of those. So, yeah. Really excited about this one. I don't know if you've looked around town, you might have seen, I'm closer. You might have seen I'm sure you've seen the blue buses, but you also might have seen some of the maps hanging around, some of the changes. We've made some drastic changes to our public routes recently. When I came on board, one of our routes was running down Hillcrest and Main and back, right? So those are pretty good corridors. There had to be a lot of changes made during COVID in that time because, well, as you know, lots of changes had to happen at that time. So we unfortunately weren't able to cover as much of Montrose as Montrose needed, which then put a very heavy load on our dial-a-ride buses, and that meant, that meant a lot more time before you could actually get your ride with a dial-a-ride, and it meant a lot more strain on the drivers, scheduling, all of that. It was a challenge. So we redid our public routes in hopes to alleviate a lot of that and to open the opportunity for anyone else to be able to just hop on the bus whenever they need to without having to call ahead and make a scheduled ride. So now we have what's called our residential rider, and as you see here, it covers most of the city of Montrose, and I'll show you a map momentarily here, but it covers most of the city of Montrose so that, again, people can access the bus from their home. Generally, the new route covers, I don't know the percentage, but a very large percentage of Montrose within just a few blocks of most people's house. And then our Business Express has the purpose of getting you to the main businesses through town. So kind of the main shopping strips, Walmart, Target. It goes up and down Townsend. It also covers Grand Avenue, Courthouse, and Park Avenue. So some of our main arterial roads through town. So that one, the idea of this is you can get on the residential rider, you can go to a transfer spot, and there are, I believe, 3 places you can connect between 2 buses, where before there was only 1. And now you can actually get on the bus at home, switch onto the other bus, and get wherever you need to go in town. It's very simple, but it's a little intimidating if you've never done it before. And we actually have people in our office who their entire job is training people how to ride the bus. And it sounds funny, but I mean, it really is. It's nice. I have an 11-year-old daughter who wanted to ride the bus a couple of weeks ago, and she was terrified. And I'm like, this is what I do, And she was still scared. She didn't know what to expect, because when you don't know, when it's an unknown, it's terrifying. So I told her, I said, well, pulled out the map. I showed her. I said, you get on here and you go there and you transfer buses here and then come home. And again, she was terrified. She was with a friend. She went, though, and she came back, and now she won't stop asking me if she can just go to Target. And then lastly, we have our flex routes. Now, our flex routes are part of the Montrose public bus. It's what's called a deviated fixed route, which means the bus can deviate from the route, primarily to service those who can't easily get to the bus stop. So again, ADA accommodations, things like that, where it's made to help you get to the bus a little more easily. So if you need the bus to come a little closer to your house, you can always call us and we can schedule that, right? We can schedule a pickup, and they'll actually, the actual public bus will come get you. So within a certain limit, of course, there's a distance limit on that. Within 3/4 mile of our actual route is as far as it can go. So this thing, this took a lot of months, a lot of time to figure out. But and as you can see here, the blue one. Let me see if this guy will work. There we go. The blue route here is our residential rider. That's the one that goes around town and kind of covers as much residential as we could. I would love to get through the middle here, but that's for another day. We will at some point. So that's our residential rider, which again, picks people up at most places around town. This right here though, this area up, oh goodness, why is the name? Thank you. Marine Road, thank you. Yeah, I've said this 10,000 times. But Marine Road, this is huge. We had a ton of people calling for dial-a-ride service and flex service from just this neighborhood right here. And so I said, okay, how can we incorporate this into our public routes? Because it's pretty far out there when you look at it. Now the problem we were faced with as well, problem and really cool solution, is that recently we got a stop at the airport, which again, you probably, yeah, I know, that's worth applauding, it really is. It took our previous director, I think, 3 years or so to actually get, I lucked out, and it was within my first couple of months I was signing the contract for that, but she worked a long time to get that stop. It's tough. And our airport, they're very, very good at making sure that that rules are followed, right? And so it took a lot of work to get there, but we were finally there, and we have regular bus stops. We actually have 2 of our routes right now going to the airport multiple times a day. So don't need to call ahead, you just get on the bus and go. But that helped us a lot because if you've driven out of the airport anytime within the last 2, 3, 4 years, and you try to turn left, it's very difficult to do. So add to that the dangerous aspect of driving a bus full of people. It's a huge risk, and we couldn't do it. And so I thought, well, we have an opportunity here. How about we turn right from the airport, we go up LaSalle, then we can hit this entire neighborhood here. And so that's what we did. And it's been fantastic. We've received very, very positive feedback from everyone riding our buses, that it's been really, really great being able to serve those people, and it has alleviated a lot off of our, I don't want to say necessary, but our more vital services, right, like dial-a-ride. The more we can alleviate off of dial-a-ride, the more people can use that service without having to plan 2 weeks ahead, that sort of thing. So a lot of this, that was our goal within this, is to get people moving as easily as possible. And then again, of course, the Business Express does, just like I said, it goes to the rec center right now. During the summer, we have that running during the summer to the rec center. And then it's a regular flex stop, so you would just have to let the driver know or call ahead if you need to go there during the school year. But during the summer, it makes sense to have the kids just have that automatic stop. And so, again, it covers all these businesses here, and you can find any of this on our website. But all these little black T's you see are places you can transfer buses. So here, between this one and that one, you can transfer to between Business Express and Residential Rider very easily. Up here at the airport, you can transfer between the Mod Express and the Residential Rider. The Mod Express is one of our commuter routes, which again, I'll talk about that here in a moment. For our public bus, these are all of the stops that they make right now. Again, I put a little T next to everything where you can transfer. But the way it works is we, again, are trying to simplify as much as possible. So instead of having an exact time at every single stop, which is virtually impossible for a driver to do, we have what are called timing points. And these timing points are these ones where you see a number next to it, here and here. That means that every hour, 15 after the hour, the bus will be leaving this stop. So if you know you need to leave from the Social Security Administration, and you see that it's going to leave the Montrose transfer lot at top of the hour, then it's best to really be here at the Social Security Administration sometime a few minutes after this, but before the 15 after the hour, and you will catch your bus at any of these stops in between, as long as you can follow that guide. So again, trying to keep it as simple as possible, because if you get the Social Security Administration and it's 12 after the hour and the sign says 12 after the hour and you're there at 13 after the hour, you're worried you might have missed the bus, or maybe you're there at 10 after, or I don't know, did it already come? It causes stress and anxiety. We try to avoid that. So, and then these are our fares. This is a huge change we've made recently, is again, trying to simplify things. We had several different prices, one for our Mod Express, one for our public bus, different prices. And as you can see, we still do offer different prices for our senior, ADA, youth, student, and veterans. It's roughly 60 to 70% off of the regular fare. But we're, again, trying to keep it as simple as possible. One ride's $1.50, a day pass gives you $3. The day pass gives you unlimited rides anywhere from Montrose to Delta. So that was one of the biggest simplifications we wanted to make, was make it easy to get, because if you ride the Mod Express, you pay one fare, you get to Montrose, you have to pay another fare, and then when you leave that place in Montrose to get back to the transfer, you pay another fare, and then you get back onto the Mod Express, you pay another fare. It gets very exhausting and confusing, especially when those prices are so different. So again, simplifying, a day pass, $3 will get you anywhere in Montrose and all the way back to Delta if you need to. It's been, again, very well received. And then of course the rest are just semi-discounted passes for buying, additional time. The 20 punch pass is one of the better prices if you do need a pass because it doesn't really expire, whereas a 30-day, a 1 month pass does. So the 20 month pass, if you don't use it all the time, is a really great deal for people who just need the bus occasionally. And again, want to keep things simple. And then lastly, on the public bus, I want to mention kids do ride free all summer long, which is great. So anyone affiliated with organizations dealing with children, please pass the word on. And also, I just want to publicly thank the Montrose Recreation District and the City of Montrose for sponsoring this program, because if it weren't for them, we couldn't do it. And it's an amazing program. Again, getting kids like my daughter to not be afraid to ride the bus, teach them how to get around on their own. Mom and dad want to sleep in, go to the store if you want, I don't care. And then our commuter routes, so these are a little bit different. These aren't a deviated route, so we can't call the bus off the route to go pick you up. These ones are just a fixed route. They're designed to go from A to B all day, every day, but they get you, these routes are what connect our community. These routes are incredibly exciting. They're brand new. The Mod Express launched only in July of last year. It's not even a year old, just a baby. And holy cow, we have had amazing reception on this. People are using it every day. In fact, we have one of our board members who, before he was a board member, was using it almost every day. So that was, well, it was an easy sell to him. But he's fantastic, and he's been a huge advocate for us. But people who live in Montrose, and in his case, he works in Delta but lives here, they need an easy way to get to work. They need to be able to ride the bus. And yeah, sure, you can drive, but you can't drive and, browse Facebook at the same time. But on the bus, you can. You can go to work and you can text to your heart's content and you're not hurting anything. So it's a really simple way to get around. Here in Western Colorado, transit is still a fairly new concept to us out here. It's not as common as it is in the, on the east side of the Mississippi. People are used to it out there in the bigger cities, but here, it's still a new concept. We have to hop in our cars because everything is far away. I mean, everything. It's not easy. So this simplifies that. And then this one, we're also very excited about. This one just launched at the beginning of March. So it's only just a few months old now. And again, as it says, it's a commuter route between Montrose and Ouray. So it gets you easily from here to there.
What's it called?
It's called Your Way, but you are at liberty to pronounce it however you want. I'm gonna cringe a little bit if you say it some ways. So, but it's been really, really also well received. This one has been fantastic too because we've had huge support from the city and county of Ouray and the town of Ridgway. They actually purchased the vehicle themselves between those three organizations. They split it three ways and they bought the vehicle because it was so important for them to have. Currently, we are running that route Thursday through Monday because they were hoping that a lot of their tourist employees, if that makes any sense, people who are working at the tourist attractions, could get to and from work a lot more easily and a lot more safely, especially late at night. So currently we're running until 10 p.m. And over the weekends for that reason. We're not seeing a ton of ridership yet. We might actually change the schedule, we will see, but at the moment, we're seeing a lot of ridership during the day, I'll say. But on the weekends, it's still there. We'll see where it goes. But the route itself has been incredibly successful so far as well. So very, very excited about both of those. So basically, between this, the Montrose Public Bus, and between Ouray, Montrose Public, and the Mod Express, you can get from Ouray to Delta currently without having to drive. And it's very easy and it's very inexpensive to do. So we're really excited about that. And then these are just our maps of the new routes. Mod Express, again, it goes Montrose to Delta, stops 2 places in Olathe, and then once it gets to Delta, it has all of these stops as well. So it's not only getting you to Delta, but it's getting you to some of the key destinations out there. Ouray, same thing, we have 2 stops in Ouray, which, not that Ouray is a huge place, so 2 stops generally gets you everywhere in town. It stops at the hot springs and it stops at the firehouse and city offices. So, and then on the way out, well, on the way through, it stops at the Ridgeway Fairgrounds. So if you need to get to the west side of the highway, you can stop there, or you can wait right back, and then it stops on the other side of the road on the way back to connect with Busting. And if you're familiar with Busting, that's CDOT, the Department of Transportation's bus system is very, very good, very efficient, and that can easily get you anywhere in the state. So yeah, we're trying to make connectivity and mobility as easy as possible. This is the fare for the Ouray route. As you can see, we again wanted to keep it fairly simple. We couldn't include it in the same flat rate we have with Mod Express and Montrose Bus. It's just costs a bit more to run up to Ouray, so we just had to, that one had to be a little bit more. But it's $4 for one way or $8 for a day pass, and again 20 punch pass for $150. So try and keep it as easy to remember as possible, no confusion. So
Is that cash?
it's cash, or you can pay. You can buy a pass from us. You can come to the office. You can call us over the phone, credit card over the phone. Yep.
Cash
We
on
are
the bus or check?
cash on the bus, or yeah, check. I don't know if we've ever really had people writing checks to the bus per se, but I suppose that would work. Yeah. 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 Because what's that?
Exact change.
If you want to give more than exact change, we love donations. But we don't give change back, to answer that question truly. It's so anything over the fare is considered a donation.
The
So
drivers don't carry cash.
no, the drivers do not carry cash. The cash actually in their buses, they don't even have access to. So, and then lastly, just talking about, I want to talk about our community connection. So if you're familiar with the Montrose Summer Music Series, it's a lot of fun. I got to go to one of them last year, and it was fun, just a concert to attend. We do offer free shuttle service to and from events like that. We have we also have the Olathe Sweet Corn Festival this year for the first time. We will also be doing a free shuttle too, because simply enough, they're hosting it in Montrose this year, the Olathe Sweet Corn Festival. So, so we're excited to be able to offer that shuttle. And then, of course, to Oktoberfest, which, if you didn't know, is actually an event that supports All Points Transit. We put that event on. So I'll talk about that a little bit as well. So these are some of our big changes this year. Our airport stop was a huge one. The overhaul of the public routes was a huge one. The launch of Ouray, and really I'll mention Mod Express as well, because that, even though it started before I came on, it is brand new. And then the bus stop signage, we are changing. You've probably seen some of our bus stops around town. They're good, and they say bus stop, and they're clear about what they do and what they are. But there's one problem. If you don't speak English, you don't know what it is, right? If you don't know the word bus stop, which some people would, some people wouldn't, it's not obvious what it is. So our goal, again, is trying to simplify as much as we can. So we've changed several of our signs to look more like this. There's no real language on there at all. Doesn't matter what language you speak, you know what that is. It's a bus stop. Please don't park there. And yes, we do have plenty of issues with that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had to put that at all. But there it is. But to quickly clarify, so these colors down here tell you what route you're on. So if it's got both colors, the pink and the blue, then it's a transfer stop. It's a place you can get onto either bus. If it's just pink, that's obvious typically as well, and it'll tell you the color. And where it's a timing point, it'll actually have times in here as well and tell you what time the bus will be there. So again, trying to keep it easy. Now this, John tried to give a little spoiler on this one. Now he's going to give more.
Well, we have buses in Delta, we have buses hanging around all over. We need home. The home I went to sign up, somehow the law enforcement facility took it over. That's a great operation too, by the way. No, we have a planning session with an outfit called Stantec. Stantec has the primary office in Canada. They have offices all around the world. They're our consultant. And believe me, yesterday I got a questionnaire. You've got to answer them. A questionnaire. It looked like about 15 pages or more. How many buses do you have? What kind of buses do you have? Etc. This outfit is extremely intelligent, connected. They do this for a living, and they do a very good job. So they are the ones helping us to build a transit center. Now, we found a little piece of land. One of the city council members and I, a good friend of mine, we used to cruise the entire area to find a piece of property that would work. Not as easy as you would like to think. Anyway, we found one down there at Woodgate and Oak Grove. No big deal, just go out and buy it. Well, forget that nonsense. It doesn't work that way. Particularly when the federal government, CDOT, are helping fund the operation. We had studies for noise. The noisiest intersection in the county, that's okay. Then we had to have a second analysis for noise because it turns out that we're actually going to have a maintenance facility on there. Most of it doesn't make any sense, but on the other hand, you have to understand it's somebody else's money, we have to justify it. Anyway, this is about I think it's, we're around $13 million at this point. The piece of land that we bought cost $800,000. And very interesting. We asked them, how much do you want for the land? They said $800,000. We said, is that negotiable? No. Oh, okay. And from there on, it went downhill. But we now have the land. And hey, everything takes time. So, but the bottom line is, it's set up, we can have all of the maintenance and not major maintenance, but most of the maintenance we can do ourselves. We can wash the vehicle. We've got, we'll have an office set up that is extremely efficient, and it'll be convenient. And people can change buses at that point, even come and park at that point if they need to. But this has been in the offing for at least 3 years, if not more. But it will be a major asset to this community. So just that's where we're headed after this. We've got a finance committee meeting, and again, this is a human type corporation. It's a legal entity, but it's run by people who are there not just because they want a job, not just because they want to be involved in the community, but they really do care for people. And you can talk to any one of the employees, any one of the staff members, and you'll find exactly the same thing. That's why it's not sort of a volunteer job, it's sort of a passion.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate that, John. Yeah, and he can give the history much better than I can, because he was there through that really, really tough part of finding land, because I think they went through, what, 3 properties before? Yeah, this is our third, right, that we actually finally, this one that we actually purchased, the rest all fell through, so. And yeah, like John mentioned, it was a big ordeal getting through all of the different approvals, EPA, all of that. It was a big deal. So really, really, really excited about this, and I hope that you are as well. This is we're trying to make this building as attractive as possible as well, so that it's a good-looking addition to Montrose. So for reference, again, this is East Oak Grove right here. This is where Woodgate currently ends. Walgreens is somewhere about right here. So for reference, that's where it's going to be located. I love all the roundabout projects, and I know that Scott Murphy here a couple of weeks ago spends probably about 50% of his time taking calls from the public about roundabouts. So, none of which I'm sure are, when's it gonna be done? As soon as this one's done, another one starts. It's beautiful. So we're excited about this roundabout, and it's gonna service the transit center very, very well. So Oak Grove will though eventually go through all the way up here, across the other side behind all of this whole shopping center here. So it'll be a big change to Montrose. It's gonna be a very positive one we're excited about. These ones, I just wanted to show you a couple of some of our concept design ideas, but the purpose of it, as John said, it's a central hub for transit. That's what the front of the building is and was looking like. Of course, everything's going to change drastically as plans go, and already has since I've even had this mock-up. This would be the west side of the building. Again, part of the purpose of this as well is not just connecting our buses, but connecting with all of the others. Having busing there, connect with us, Telluride Express, even Uber. Anywhere people need to catch transit, this will be the hub. Even those, if you've been to Grand Junction and you've seen those little electric scooters going around, goodness knows, we'll probably have charging stations for those there. So any way for people to get around, we're wanting to have this as the central hub for it. Again, more of the west side here. I'm just gonna go through these quickly because I wanna leave a little time for questions as well. That's going to be our east side. We will have this conference room here as well, which we're hoping to have open to the public for people to come use when they need a good conference space. And rec center's not available, or it's, frankly, it's going to be a nice one. So I hope you want to use this one instead. And then, just kind of going through here. The other idea too is to have a lobby, a place for people to sit and wait for their bus and to make it a comfortable environment. And as John said, Stantec has been phenomenal. They do this all the time, and I have yet to see pictures at least of a transit center they've made that wasn't beautiful. They're really good at what they do. This is the general layout of the facility. So the whole lot will look somewhat like this, and that's going to stay mostly the same. And then the entrance for our buses will just come around here. These are going to be the actual loading areas right here, these diagonal spots, and that's where people will be able to easily transfer. So it will also, of course, serve as our main offices as well. Future plans. I want to talk a little bit about these. I would love to do the monorail, I really would. So much. Probably not going to happen, but my hope is still there. But again, our goal is to make transit as easy as possible for everyone. We want people to be able to get around easily, and that is what we have been doing and are continuing to strive for. We want to do, one of our focuses right now is community outreach. And I had a conversation with a gentleman a few weeks ago in Spanish. He needed to get around. His wife was walking from the West Main Trailhead clear to Walmart because they didn't know that they could ride the bus. They thought it was for somebody else. They just didn't know how to get around. So I was able to talk with this gentleman and say, well, yeah, here's all you do. You pay $3 for a day pass and you get on. I mean, his wife was carrying groceries from Walmart clear to West Main Trail. That's a long walk, especially when you're carrying groceries and your fingers are numb just coming from the car to the house. So there are options for everyone, but people don't know about them. It's really not an option for them. So one of our main purposes is just, again, outreach. People don't know about it, or they know about it and they're afraid to use it because they don't know how, right? So that's our goal, is to have that outreach and let people know how to use it. This is a huge part of it, microtransit. And when I came on board here, I had never heard that word. All I could think of was micro machines, because when I was a little kid, they had these little tiny cars, and they were so fun. I loved them. But that's not what it is, sadly, because those are fun. Microtransit is, well, I'm going to say it's a flexible, on-demand public transportation service designed to connect passengers to the nearest or most convenient bus stop or transit hub. The purpose of that is, again, to alleviate some of the other services. The dial-a-ride right now is very, very heavy with riders, and we need something to help alleviate that so that, again, that service can be more efficient. The purpose of this is to get you to the public bus so that you can then get around town where you need to go. And again, all of our buses, bear in mind, every one of them, every public bus, every van, everything you see, is completely ADA accessible, and all of our drivers are trained on how to safely restrain a wheelchair, that sort of thing. So even if you have ADA, needs, we can accommodate that, whether it's on microtransit, public bus, anything. So that's one of our main focuses, is to get this microtransit going. It's, again, the purpose of it is to get you from A to B very, very easily. Again, I'm gonna kind of zip through these real quick, because only the time. But there are a lot of advantages to it, especially because, again, it does reduce wait times. It makes life just easier all across the board. Easy access to some of the businesses that aren't necessarily on the Business Express, because we have a lot of local businesses, and right now it serves some of the bigger ones. And we want to service the whole community as much as possible. And then, again, easy to get around when you're a member of that vulnerable population. Before ending up here, I also wanted to mention some of our vital partnerships. We have, I could have an entire slideshow filled with people who support us, and I wish I could, because the support we receive is just unbelievable from our community, but especially from our local government entities. The City and County of Montrose, Region 10 is a huge supporter, National RTAP, Delta, City and County, and of course CDOT, Colorado Department of Transportation, are huge supporters of what we do. Their whole goal is to get people around. One of our goals ultimately would be, and is, to one day become a rural transit authority, which means it's a fully funded public entity, which right now we're a nonprofit. And so we rely heavily on donations and grants and whatever we can to fund our transit services. But if we go to a rural transit authority, everything is now paid for by our local city and state government, right? And so it makes it so typically your transit is going to be free. You're going to have much more easy access to things like being able to get on an application and see where your bus is and book your ticket right there, just simplicity. So that's something we'd like to go to, but without these folks here right now, we could not do any of it at all. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I really wanted to make mention of these organizations specifically. Currently, some of our challenges we navigate, as I mentioned, is funding, of course. As a nonprofit, we always are having to seek out extra funding, because we have buses. Our buses are old, and they're getting old, and we have to replace those buses and fund those buses and pay the drivers and pay for fuel and repairs. There's a lot going into this thing. So that's one of our challenges. This is not a real picture, by the way. This was not us. I have to throw that out there. We are also constantly in need of driving staff. Our turnover rate is pretty good, but we have a lot of demand. We have a lot of need, and there's frequently always more need. So if you or anyone you know of would like to drive for us and serve a good organization, please call us. That's what we're here. We're here to serve the community. And if part-time, full-time, flexible, volunteer, anything. We have a lot of different opportunities. And we do have volunteer drivers who just help folks who need a one-time trip, one-off trip to Grand Junction. We have a car for that, right? So we have a lot of different ways for you to serve, whether you want a paid job or you want to actually just come help people out. We have all of it here. So, and again, I mentioned where we receive a lot of our funding sources from grants, local government sponsorship, volunteering. We also have these small fundraising events that we do. You may have heard of one of them, Oktoberfest. Again, that's our biggest event, a fundraising event of the year, and it's huge. I hope you've been. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun there, and it's and again, I think a lot of people don't even recognize or realize that it is a fundraising event, which is great, because we just want you there to have fun, but we also want you to support All Points Transit. So, and then the other semi-big one we have every year is actually coming up this Friday, which is Brews and Bites, and that's held at the Grove in Delta. Again, that's kind of building up towards Oktoberfest. Just a couple pictures from last year's. And then this is for our upcoming events this year. Again, this Friday, 5 to 8 p.m. at the Grove in Delta. And then our Oktoberfest, of course, this year is going to be September 28th, 1 to 5 p.m. So we have a really fun graphic artist who made I'm pretty sure it's a stag, because I can't call that an elk or a deer. I'm pretty sure I'm going with stag, but it's really fun. And we're excited about the poster this year. So please come to either of those events if you can. And that's all I have at the moment. I have so much more to cover, but we only have so much time. So I'd like to open it up to questions. Any thoughts you have?
Fantastic. I'll pass the mic around, and we've got about 10 minutes.
What is your timeline for having your transit center done?
A long time. I anticipate it being operational in approximately 3 years, I'd say. Yeah. So the next year is our schematic design, and then after that we break ground. So
I saw a hand over here, did I not?
So a couple of years ago, you had a free bus ride for a week program, and a friend of mine and I just didn't know anything about the bus, and we got on and we rode all the routes and did all the stuff, and it was great. And are you thinking about doing that again?
I love doing programs like that. When we can, we do, yes. Typically a program like that comes across when we can have someone sponsor it for us. You know, we actually have a program coming up on June 17th that Region 10 is putting on, and its purpose is to educate people on riding the bus. So the goal is we're going to have an event somewhere around the Target parking lot, and people can ride the bus for free, get the education on how to ride it, and then once they get there, they'll learn more about Region 10, the vouchers, and how they can get that paid for as well. Yeah.
What's the month of June for public?
Yes. Yeah, oh yeah, thank you, Dave, yes. Yeah, Dave mentioned, yeah, so we do have the whole month of June is free. We have an organization in Colorado called Cascade. They actually are sponsoring, it's called a Zero Fare for Better Air, the goal being people not driving their cars, but instead riding the bus to, of course, save on emissions and that sort of thing. So yeah, it is free for the month of June, thank you, Dave. I'm glad you said that.
Oh, there you go. Let's all ride
And
the
that's,
bus.
and that's for everyone, not just kids. That's for the public, by the way.
Get
Yeah,
the
they
word
also
out
mentioned-
on that.
That's
yeah.
fantastic.
That's for public
great.
bus, so not the Ouray. I think we're covering mod on that though, aren't we? Or is that just public?
I think it's more.
It's just mod and public bus, so the Montrose to Delta and the public, yeah.
Perfect.
You know, glad to see that your fare structure is much simpler. And I think that's important because a lot of these systems get into a downward spiral. They make it so complicated that people quit riding, then they need more revenue, so they raise the fares. Then there's less people riding, so they cut the routes, they cut the sign, and the whole thing just goes down. So I hope you try to stay away from the downward spiral. Wanted to know if you allow bicycles, or you have bicycle racks, and then just a comment on Mustang. Mustang was proposing to run another route to Crested Butte. And I think that, you know, they have a really good local transit system that connects Gunnison to Crested Butte. And I think instead of running the bus route to there, they should run down 50 if it ever opens again. And connect us that way, because I've taken the Mustang to Denver, and it's not easy because it doesn't connect in Grand Junction well. And we tried to take it back, it also didn't connect well. And so I hope there's more coordination with Mustang. And you better put solar on your building or you'll hear from Janet Chapman.
Yeah, and that is one thing that we are focusing on with that transit center is making it as sustainable as possible. And it's solar, things like that we've talked about. Even in just the schematic design, they were talking about, and of course a lot is based on funding, but they're talking about these lights, you have these recessed lights you normally see. Well, they have these ones that are solar, they actually collect light from outside and they can be controlled by a switch. They're really cool. They don't use any electricity except when you flip a switch. I mean, they're neat, but yeah, so as far as busing goes, I know that they're actually talking about opening up a second run right now through Montrose every day, which is great. We need that. Their hours are kind of tough to meet right now. But, and I have heard rumors, and I did reach out to them a few weeks ago and asked, they said, are you guys ever going to run the route to Gunnison? And they said, we're talking about it. So, I mean, of course, nobody's running Gunnison right now. But I do think we will get there. Busing, CDOT, their whole goal is to make the whole state as connected as possible. And then to your first question, absolutely. We do have the bike racks on all of our buses. I'll say the buses, not necessarily the vans with dial-a-ride, but with the buses we do. We have room for 2 bikes on every one of them. And that includes the Ouray route, your way. And the Montrose public bus, including the Mod Express. So yeah, room for 2 bikes. Rarely are both racks ever taken up at the same time.
Fantastic. Time for maybe one more question. Okay.
With the Your Way bus, will you consider with the music festival, the music in Ridgeway and Ouray running shuttles to those as well this summer?
That's a good question. We haven't actually looked into that yet. That would be a conversation to have with them out there. Typically, they're pretty good about communicating with us out there, that all the local governments, they've been great. We haven't heard mention of that yet. That is a consideration I can look into for sure.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Let's give them a warm round of applause.